Hello and welcome back to Monday Mindfulness. Today we're doing travel meditation, and this is one of those types of practices that can be as deep or as shallow as you are comfortable with. And it covers not only the actual transit of travel, but it covers the whole ceremony of the journey. So the ramping up to travel, the whole letting go and goodbye, the actual travel portion itself, and then the landing process afterwards. There's lots of stuff here that we can bring self-awareness and mindfulness to, and this is what we're looking at today. So the way that travel affects me really varies depending on how short or long my stay is. If I'm having short stays, my mindful experience tends to be much more like a deck of cards that's just getting peeled through very quickly, but it can also be more taxing on my body. So I tend to do more body awareness practice when I'm traveling quickly. When I'm traveling for longer periods, it doesn't tend to be as taxing on the body, and it tends to have more space to kind of evolve. These are all generalizations because each experience is different, each place, each journey is different. But what I'm saying is that when I stay for longer, I tend to notice my leaving time kick in a little bit earlier. So for example, if I'm staying somewhere for 2 weeks and I'm, say, 4 days, 5 days away from leaving, then I'll already start doing that ramping out process. And that can affect the relationships with people. I may either try to push too hard and try too hard for things, or at least feel urges to. I may feel like distancing myself, and I may feel some of that and hold a sweet spot in the middle. And I may just, which often happens these days, is just swing for the fences and just say, okay, yeah, I'm feeling these pulls in either direction, but I'm just going to really show up and give the moments that I have while I'm here. So there can be any kind of dynamics with relationships going on there. There can be the physical packing up, starting to get the washing sorted, starting to get all of things put into the suitcase and like preparing to leave things to others and things like that, preparing gifts potentially, all of these different dynamics going on. Also saying goodbye to people, thanking people for the time that we've had, and also starting to build new relationships on the other side before we do this journey. So these are things that I've been aware of as well. A lot of emotions in relation to these beautiful relationships, a lot of gratitude. Gratitude has been a primary emotion that I've been feeling through this last trip to Serbia that I've had. Really, really grateful to be spending time with the family that I have been, for getting the periods of time that we've had to be able to spend that together, and also to be able to spend time with an amazing auntie that I haven't got to meet before very much. And it was really great to be able to spend consistent time with her as well. So a lot of gratitude for these relationships, and gratitude in bouncing out from the house or the actual engagement with these people, but also gratitude from bouncing out in the airport. I find the airport a great time to reflect on that whole journey. Another area that I've been aware of through mindfulness is to be aware of how my body is responding to different situations. And sometimes you'll notice the humidity, the heat, the cold, any number of these different sensations and the way the body responds to them. And you might also notice the way the body responds as we transition from place to place as well. Because, you know, these changes in places really highlight some of these differences. So we have mindfulness being able to notice what's happening in the body, what's happening emotionally, what's happening with our relationships, what's happening with feeling like completing things as we go on with the next part of our journey. So there's a lot of different areas to explore there. And I've got some noted down here as well, just the depth of the goodbyes, really being able to be present and open-hearted and honest with our goodbyes and our thank yous as we bounce out of a place is really amazing. And also to be able to go through that gratitude process going into the airport and into that whole journey process as well. And I've been traveling so much, I tend to go, I wouldn't so much say an autopilot, but a cruise control kind of mode where I really, really relax when I travel, and it opens the space to do a lot of that reflection and a lot of that just looking within and that feeling of gratitude coming through for the experiences that we've had. Another thing is the habits. I've noticed some habits coming up when I travel, and mainly around food, like indulging in certain foods, because often it's hard to get really healthy food when you're on the road. It's getting better and better, but in airports, generally it's not as accessible as it would be in the middle of town. So going away from healthy food can be something that can be very tempting. And I've been more strict with my diet now, so I've noticed that come up, and I've noticed myself having some interesting relationships with my food choices as I travel through the airport. So another thing that I've noticed is also habits just around travel, like certain types of music that I might normally have, the way that I might relax, the way that I might even reflect, or the way my self-talk might go as I travel. I notice that this is a particular common type of experience that I roll into, and there's certain habits that wrap around that, like I was saying with the food, with the packing, and this independence and isolation and kind of transitional, it's almost like a portal jump that I go through, and all of that dynamic of kind of packing up and then bringing the new habits that I want to embody coming into that new location is also an interesting thing, because one habit that I've developed is being more conscious about my actions at the end of each transition, which can be an interesting practice as well to kind of tie together mindfulness and personal development. Another thing that I've noticed, which kind of ties into those habits, is temptation. For me, especially with food, there's a lot of temptation around this transitional period, because, you know, I'm going through, often I'm not traveling with people that I know. I can pretty much, succumb to the temptation of ice cream or different things like that. All kinds of different temptations can lure us when we're traveling, especially when we're traveling alone. And even if we're traveling when we're not alone, lots and lots of temptation can come up. And it can just be, partying for a holiday. But I find it interesting now that I've traveled so much and seen these temptations come up, and especially being conscious of it in the last one, noticing, what am I trying to get with some of this temptation? What am I trying to fulfill here with that chocolate ice cream, or with buying something in duty free and things like this, and just sitting with that, noticing what happens after the first 5 minutes of sitting with this. Because often it's not about the actual material thing that I'm looking for. It's actually something trying to stabilize and normalize internally. So that's another interesting dynamic to look at and bring mindful self-awareness to. Another thing is noticing the differences. As I said before, the differences in places, amazing differences in culture, especially with such rich cultures in Europe. I've noticed that a lot. And also the differences in climate, differences in environments that we're going into, lots of different things to be aware of the differences in. And our body really speaks to us a lot and very, very loudly when we're traveling as well. We can get into kind of autopilot and a bit of numbness and insensitivity when we're in one place, consistently. And when we travel, that awareness just really gets heightened, so we can notice some of these details more and more than we would usually. There's also noticing what mannerisms or what behaviors I'm taking through this traveling journey. Am I rushing at any point? Am I getting apathetic at any point? Am I pushing or pulling this situation? Am I just in a graceful flow? Have I found a nice flow for this travel? Am I trying to impose my ideas or my filters or my belief systems on this traveling experience? Am I trying to control something, or am I trying to impose levels of rightness or anything else through my travel? And there's a really, really beautiful experience to be had in this, not only because you've got this range of people that you're traveling with, but you've also got a range of different cultures, and it can trigger our normal filter. So this is a great opportunity to look at, with awareness, with perspective, at our normal filter, which is something that so often sneaks under the radar, but traveling is a great opportunity to do that. Another thing that we've got is, am I feeling connected with my fellow travelers? Am I connecting with them at all? Am I in my own bubble, or am I part of a community? And am I taking the time to smile? Am I just aware of my environment? Am I looking to help out people along the way? Am I feeling empathic with the community that's around me as we travel? There's lots and lots of things here. And also, how does that feel to be connected with these different travelers? Each experience is going to be different, but just noticing how that feels to be in this room with these people is an amazing, amazing practice, especially when it's so heightened and new and sensitive, like I was saying. So how are you feeling in connection with people? Are you feeling connected to the people around you while you're traveling? Are you still feeling a connection to the people that you've just left from? Are you really feeling them? Are you feeling connected there? Are you feeling empathic? Are you telling yourself stories about the experience that you've just had and the people that you've had the experience with? Are you feeling connected to the people that you're traveling to? Are you feeling a experience of diving already, pre-diving into the experience with them? Are you feeling some empathy towards them? Are you telling yourself stories about them? Are you texting with them, in either the people that you've left or the people that you're going towards, while you're on the road? There's lots of different dynamics as far as our connectedness as well. And you might notice through all of these details, is there some sort of overarching theme to this trip? What does the overarching feel of this trip feel like? Does it feel like an adventure? Does it feel like going home? Does it feel like something completely different and new? Does it feel like visiting old friends? Does it feel like a phenomenal holiday? Does it feel somber? What are all of the details like on the whole coming together as? What's the overarching feel of this trip? And this can be a beautiful thing to become aware of and to help give us perspective on our travel as well. Another thing you might notice is, are you drawn towards something? Are you repelled away from something? Just noticing in the traveling experience, what's pulling you, what's pushing you. And really seeing that and being aware, oh yeah, I'm really drawn towards this. Or, I'm not really sure about coming back into this. Or I'm glad to be out of that. Or I'm really, really grateful for this dynamic that I really want to come back to. And I'm super, super drawn back into this piece of service or this place now. So looking at what's drawing us, what's repelling us is very, very powerful as a mindfulness travel practice. And the last practice that I'd like to share is just taking a breath and just noticing, what is the body saying to you? How's it speaking? And just being able to love it the way it is. Just being able to notice, Mindfulness 101, just being here, taking in all of these details of this travel experience, this moment, taking stock of this instance of reality, just being able to soak that in, being sensitive to now, being able to be at peace with right here and right now, for now. So these are some areas that you might choose to focus on your next travel. I love to really dive into the fullness and the richness of travel, and I find that some of these practices help to heighten that even more, to savor the details and to really become present with the moments of this travel. And there's so many, eye-opening, jaw-dropping experiences that we treat ourselves to through our traveling moments, and this is a great way to get the most value out of them. So please let us know if you have anything to share as far as your travel experiences. If you have any comments, questions, anything you'd like to share with us, please leave comments down here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you very much for your time. Ciao for now. Mwah. Love you guys.